Okay. Hi guys, I'm Mel, and I'm here to tell you how we're going to get the energy to power the next economy. Okay? We sure as hell ain't going to dig it out of the ground. We're going to get it from the sun, from the wind, from the tides, from our very molten core. And while our screens and our newspapers are filled with the daily trouser thrusting of preening politicians, there's been a quiet revolution taking place in the background. And it's not being driven by politics or even environmentalism or altruism. It's being driven by the cold, bloodless logic of the marketplace. We're already past the point at which investments into renewables outstrips fossil fuels. Global spending on clean energy is now double what we're spending on dirty energy. For example, Michael Liebrich, he's Bloomberg's head of new energy finance, and he's quite possibly the most influential energy nerd today. Like, this guy knows his shit, right? And he says there are two economic tipping points in the clean energy transformation. The first is when the cost of building new solar or wind becomes cheaper than building new coal or gas power plants that have the same generating capacity. Okay, we're already past that point. That point has happened. The second economic tipping point is when the cost of building new solar or wind and operating new solar and wind becomes cheaper than the operating costs alone of new coal or gas. And what's really exciting is that we're starting to see that happen in so many parts of the world. Let's take, for example, India, a country of 1.3 billion people. Now, 2/3 of their coal generation is now being sold to utilities at higher prices than solar and wind. Now, that means that keeping those old power plants open and running is costing that country billions of dollars every single year. In the United Kingdom, the birthplace of the first industrial revolution, right? They went, about a few months ago, 3 days without burning coal at all. We haven't seen this happen in 140 years. Their carbon emissions are down to levels as low as what they were in 1890. That's when Queen Vicky was still on the throne. Power plants like these are gone, and they've been replaced by homes for hipsters. And the iconic Blackfriars Bridge is now covered in super sexy solar panels. But did you know that India installed more solar last year than China or Europe? Or that Saudi Arabia, the largest producer and exporter of oil in the world, has just announced they're going to build a solar power plant so friggin' big it can power their entire country by 2030. Pretty amazing stuff. All right. But the country that had the biggest carbon emissions reduction last year, right, was the States. Okay? And the 90% of the energy added to their grid last year was new energy, new clean energy. Okay? And that ramped up to 98% in the first few months of this year. And in the first 60 days of this year, the States closed more coal power plants than in the first 4 years of the Obama presidency. Climate change might be controversial in the US, but do you know what isn't? Clean energy. And do you know why? Jobs. Clean energy jobs are growing at 12 times the rate of the rest of the economy. The country's second fastest growing occupation, wind turbine technician. The first, solar panel installer. But for every dollar that the US invested in renewables last year, China invested $3. China actually invested half the world's clean energy last year. And as a country run by scientists and by engineers, they know that a low-carbon economy is the only way to a viable future. And that whoever gets there first is going to be at the forefront of the next industrial revolution. Bear in mind that these technologies are getting more sophisticated all the time. New wind turbines are marvels of human ingenuity and engineering savvy. They have twice the generating capacity of their predecessors from just a few years ago. In March this year, General Electric announced the construction of the Haliade X. This is a wind turbine so big, it's taller than the Eiffel Tower, well, almost as tall as the Eiffel Tower, but its blades longer than the Statue of Liberty. This one turbine can power 16,000 homes. This stuff is really amazing. But in the deserts of Nevada, Mongolia, Spain, okay, they're building gigafactories that are churning out a whole new generation of batteries. And it's these batteries that are providing the missing link for wide-scale grid integration. There's a whole new wave coming in terms of the energy revolution. And it includes things like industrial biochemistry, vertical farming, precision agriculture. It includes things like blockchain for electricity distribution. And all of these things are already here. We're even installing solar panels into clear glass. Let's just think about what that means for a city, like let's say Sydney, where every window, every car windshield, even the screen on your smartphone will become its own energy-producing cell. You start to realize that entire cities will one day become their very own power plant. Thanks, guys.
Nice.